Have you ever been so overwhelmed that you were barely surviving? Well, there was a period of time where I was so overwhelmed that my family and I pretty much survived on canned soup served in paper bowls. So it's not glamorous, but it worked, and I'm going to tell you the story about that. So, um, when my kids were little, I stayed home with them for about 7 years. And during that time, I had a baking business. I was stay-at-home mommy. And previous to that, I had been a kindergarten teacher. And then I stayed home, I had a baking business. I went back to teaching, and I had taught kindergarten before, and I was now going to be teaching fifth grade. It was at a different school than I'd been at before. It was a new grade. This was the first time that this school was doing team teaching, and so there were a lot of like systems and procedures, logistics to figure out, and plus the technology had advanced so much in those 7 years. It was just a period of huge technology growth. And so I had to learn how to put lesson plans into the computer and grades and homework, how to use a projector, how to use PowerPoint. It was just a lot. By the time that we were done with the teacher in service week at the very beginning of the year, I was literally full. My brain was full. I was having to ask the same questions 3, 4, 5 times. And it was like the information was just bouncing off of my head. And so I just started writing stuff down and saying, I will just capture this information and figure it out later. And that's how I started the year. Thankfully, I had a wonderful group of students that first year in my homeroom, and it was a group of girls who were just so gracious. I believe that some of them were born to be teachers, and that they love to help people, and they saw that I was struggling. And they were so, so kind. Instead of taking advantage, like some kids might, of a confused, disoriented new teacher, and it was like being a first year teacher again. Even though I had taught before, this was like a completely different experience. So I felt like I was brand new. And yeah, I was as lost as last year's Easter eggs. And they were so gracious. They just helped me out so much. And then after a couple weeks, I was kind of starting to get the hang of it. And the students noticed. And one of my students actually said to me, you know what? I don't think you're as lost as you were at the beginning of the year. And I'm like, yep. I think I'm starting to catch on here. I think I'm starting to get the hang of things. So, yeah, progress does happen, and it's nice when somebody notices. Now, I'm not saying that the struggle was over. I mean, being a classroom teacher is a full-time job, and I don't just mean like, the 40 hours a week. It is 24/7. Even if you brought nothing home, you're bringing home that mental load of your students and their parents. You're just always thinking about them, thinking about your plans, thinking about things that happened, thinking about how you could have handled situations better, concern about meetings and things. So it's just always there. It's a lot. It does get better over time, but like that first year was rough. It was also my first time teaching as a parent. My last year teaching kindergarten is when my daughter was born, and so she was a baby. They had a nursery right there at the school where I was teaching, and so she was able to come to work with me, and somebody took care of her while I worked. And that was my 6th year teaching kindergarten at that school. And so I was very comfortable in what I was doing. And so I was able to like focus on being a new mom while the teaching was pretty much automatic at that point. And I also had a wonderful assistant who really helped me to not have to worry about the classroom stuff as much. She was just wonderful and really helped me so much. So when I went back to teaching and it was 5th grade, of course, the load was different. It was, kindergarten to 5th grade. It's much more content heavy. And of course, being different school, all the technology and everything. Plus, I now had 2 children who were lower elementary. And I had all of their school stuff to deal with. And one of them had, at that point, an undiagnosed learning difference. And so I was, when my day was over at school, my day was not over. I had more school to do with my own kids. And so it was really challenging. So it was like my brain was just absolutely spent. I had nothing left to give. Brain and body just absolutely spent. I had given my all to my students, and then I had given as much as I could to my own kids. And so when it got to be dinner time, I finally just surrendered to the fact that we are going to be eating canned soup for the next several months so that we can survive this thing. Because I did not have the bandwidth left to plan a grocery list and to then prepare the food. And it was survival time. And we had that soup served in paper bowls so that there were fewer dishes to worry about. And you know what? When you're in a situation like that of overwhelm, fed is best. Sure, it would have been better if I could have provided my family with scratch-made meals, but I just could not. And so I did what I could, and I kept my family alive. At least we weren't going through the drive-through, but if that's all we could manage, then that's okay. I kept them alive so we can fight another day. And that was how it was for the first semester, until I started to kind of get the hang of things, and I came up with some easy meals, and I was able to do a little bit of food prep so that I could prepare on the weekends to be more prepared for the week ahead of me, to where I'd get home and I could put on dinner easily. So what I want to assure you is that if you are in a season of survival and overwhelm, it's okay to just do whatever you have to do to survive and to take care of the people around you who you're responsible for. Do not feel guilty. Okay? If that means ordering food or using convenience foods, that is okay. I want you to do that guilt-free. It is nobody else's business. Okay? I am not going to judge you. You're keeping your people alive. And I don't want you to put the guilt on yourself. So whatever your situation is that is maybe hard right now, maybe you're fighting through depression and it's all you can do to open a can of soup. Okay, that's all right. Soup is food. It's going to keep you alive. Do that. And don't put any guilt on yourself because that's just adding more pressure, okay? And then when you are able, when you have that little bit of margin, little bit of extra bandwidth, where you want to try to improve your situation, where you're able to make a little improvement, don't think, okay, I'm going to like turn my life over in one weekend. You're just going to crash and burn. One small system or habit could make a difference in moving you in the right direction and reduce friction in your life. So maybe that's preparing one meal on a day when you have the time or bandwidth, but double it. Cook once, eat twice. Maybe it's the next day. Maybe it's that you put it in the freezer. Maybe you could clear a counter. Maybe you could write the top 3 things that you need to get done tomorrow. Maybe it's setting out the coffee for tomorrow morning or fixing your lunch that you need to take tomorrow to work. It is more important to do something consistently. One small thing that you do consistently, and that's going to slowly build momentum, than it is to be perfect. Just try one small thing that you can do day after day. And if you miss, it's okay. Just pick it back up again the next day. Small steps add up over time. So it's okay to be in survival mode. You're doing your best. And that is enough. I want to know that you are enough and what you're doing is enough. Do not feel guilty about that. You're in a season. And then, when you're ready, I want you to find one small step that you can take. One tiny thing. Maybe that's that you're going to fill up your water bottle the night before so that when you get up in the morning, it's ready for you to start hydrating. It can make a difference if you do that every day. But it starts the night before. Just one small step. So what is one small step that you can take this week? Comment below. I'd love to hear it. And I want to encourage you that slow and steady wins the race. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.